Meeting started. Call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. First line of business, approval of the minutes for October. Can I get a motion?
I move we approve the October minutes.
Got a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Nope. Here we go. Moving right down to number 3, appearance of interested citizens. Rhonda Rich, come on down.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name's Rhonda Rich, and I'm president of the West Keizer Neighborhood Association. And I'd just like to commend all of you, and especially Robert, who worked with the Eagle Scout down at Palmacia Park, because that trail down there is just awesome.
Yes.
I mean, it's the first time I've been down to the river, because I've never felt safe to go down the old trail. So I'm just so happy that we kept that little park. And I think that's going to get a lot of use. I mean, there wasn't much beach down there when I went down. It was right after the Wallace House Park cleanup. And, but it's going to be a neat little place for people to access the river. So, and Wallace House Park cleanup, thank you, Matt, for doing that. I haven't been down to Wallace House Park for a while either.
Okay.
And just off the parking lot, they have 2 benches so you can view the river. And so we did a lot of work down there. So I commend Matt for organizing that and doing a couple of parks in our neighborhood. And then tonight, you'll be talking about the turf fields. And I've been to 2 of the meetings that City Manager Adam Brown has invited us to, and we've had a couple other board members give some input. I think they have a pretty good plan. The last meeting we had a couple options, and I know it needs a lot of tweaking yet because there's a lot of requests from the different organizations and prioritizing things. But from the neighborhood viewpoint, I have to say we're very excited to have an opportunity for adults and children to have soccer, flag football, whatever is going to happen on those fields. But then being a neighborhood right next to the park, parking was one of our concerns, and I think they've done a good job of putting 250 parking places off of Chamel, which will be really nice, and lighting, and just directing it down to the fields, and so it's not ambient lighting in the neighborhood. And noise, I don't know, there's probably not much we can do about that, although I was thinking between the fields and the houses, there is going to be a lot of area that I know some of the organizations mentioned about picnicking, putting up canopies. You know, maybe we can plant some trees in that area. I know you don't want leaves on the fields, but you know, making it kind of park-like, and it'll be a nice little kind of buffer from the neighborhood and an area for the players and families to use to just kind of hang out. Awesome. And picnic. And so I'm excited to see what we come up with. I think it'll be a really good thing for the community. So
Wonderful.
so
Thank you, Rhonda. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron Smith, come on down.
Well, this is all new to me. Never done anything like this before.
Awesome. Well, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Ron Smith. I've been a resident in Keizer, a homeowner since 1989. And I'm here to talk about the Keizer Rapids Park and a little bit of an experience I had and a little bit of a concern. I just wanted, not here to make a gripe session or anything, but just to bring up something and see if I can open up a dialogue of something that can be done about it. First of all, my late wife, been widowed for 13 years, but when the park opened, she told me about the park. And my first reaction was, another park? I mean, more swing sets, more lawns, is this really needed? And when I experienced the park, it's an awesome park. I call it the crown jewel of Keizer. We love that park. I was married to an animal girl, so she took her dogs down there all the time. And so I still go down there a lot. It reminds me of where I grew up, that wooded area behind, you know, to the west of the parking lot and the amphitheater. That whole area reminds me of my home.
Good.
I used to go there and play my guitar, and I do that now here at the Keizer station. I hike there, I bike there. I'm there several times a week in good weather. I have many memories there of my late wife too. But as I hiked through the wooded area, which is my favorite, I got more of a concern about the litter that's there, alarming, and kind of getting more and more disgusted each time. And now that I'm retired, you know, the thought was, I guess I could pick it up. I just can't understand how people can bring full containers out there and can't carry them out when they're empty.
Yeah.
It's even easier then, right? But I thought, you know, maybe I should, as an experiment, just pick up as much as I can, see how much I can find. And so I got one of those grabber tools.
Yep.
Found it at a garage sale, and they said, just take it, okay? And somewhere around October 1st, I started picking up trash. And in a 2-hour visit, hiking around in the main trails, I picked up 4 grocery bags full of trash. And the next day, I picked up another 3. And the next day, I picked up another 2. And, you know, just, the thing that was even more alarming was the amount of dog droppings. And then I'm thinking, wow, I guess I'm not above that either. We haven't had a dog for 13 years. So as an experiment, I started getting some of those little bags that are provided and started picking them up. And after a while, I started counting. And on day 1, I picked up 20 dog piles. On day 2, I picked up 30. A week later, I went down the same trail that I had covered before, and I picked up 16 more, some of which I missed. And then just on the 1st November, I just happened to go down the paved path along the river. It starts at the parking lot and to the next opening there where our new pavement comes in. And I wasn't planning on doing any picking up, but I had to. I just felt compelled, and I went back, got bags. It took 3 trips going back. That's a 700-foot approximately stretch of paved
Right.
path there. I picked up 45 miles. And that boils down to something like every 7.5 feet. And that's a problem. And I'm just here to make note of that and ask if there's some sort of dialogue, or if there's something that we can do to improve that. I made some interesting observations. That big loop that goes around this beautiful lawn that was put in,
Right.
almost nothing out there. Hardly any trash or dog stuff. And I got curious, and I got talking to one of the dog owners in the exercise areas, the fenced-in areas there. And I said, I bet you there's not much dog droppings in that area? And she goes, no, not very much.
Right.
But it's very interesting in the wooded area, it's just full of that.
Yeah.
And so I have to admit, I'm a little at of a loss of how to fix that situation.
Yeah.
And all I can think of is perhaps maybe put up more signs, reminder signs to pick up after your dog. I suspect there's a mentality that, well, if I'm in the woods, it's different, you know, and just let their dog do what they need to do.
Right.
So all I could suggest is putting more signs and more dispensers.
Right. Which would require more trash receptacles out in those areas
Yes,
and
and
other
that
things.
too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear the concern because I've seen it, but I guess I haven't noticed as much as what you were sharing about. So I think definitely making note of it for just in general, that we've got some trash concerns, but it really is a call to action on community, right? Like we all need to do our part. And so that individuals like yourselves aren't taking on all of the extra pieces that are happening. For instance, if you're going to use the parks, and Keizer Rapids Park is the jewel of our community. It's a beautiful asset that we have. And if we don't take care of it, it will fall apart. So I think there is that. And when we add signs and trash cans to those natural landscapes, it becomes less natural. And so we're trying to figure out that balance. But you're right, it's a big concern. I do know that the environmental team just recently did some work out there. It was the weekend after we had Parks meeting. And I thought, could environmental tell us what activities that they're doing? Because I was shocked when I showed up to that park and they were there and we didn't talk about it at all or announce it. So we could do more community shares, or even at this platform share that how people can get involved to help out certain parts of our parks. Our environmental team here at Keizer does that work already. They do trash pickup on Tuesday. They've got this really kind of cool phrase, and they do some social media plugs. So maybe we could see if there's a way we can partner more with the parks to help out with those areas. But I think the biggest reach or call would be that if you're going to go enjoy our parks, clean up after it. Always leave it better than you arrived there. But you're right, it's a big concern. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah.
And we'll make note of it and have some different conversations. Hopefully, I don't know any problem solving off the top of your head, but that was just my thought, was environmental team, the actions or activities they're already doing. How can we build that into a bigger reach within our parks? Because it's bad. So thank you so much, Ron.
Yeah, I did this just sort of as an experiment to
Yeah.
prove to myself. I don't plan to make this a mission in life
Yeah.
to,
I know, I kind of cringed when you said you counted how many turd piles you picked up, but I appreciate you sharing that you are concerned and that we have some work to do in our parks. So thank you
Yeah.
again for your
I
time,
love
Ron.
the park. I really appreciate having the porta potties all
Agreed.
cleaned up and put
Right.
in. I was really alarmed. Little side note, that new bathroom they put in by the
Big Toy? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, while I was doing that, I went in to use that, and I was appalled that day, and I thought, oh my goodness. I happened to be down there today. I thought, well, I'm gonna go to the meeting tonight, checked in, and it's been cleaned up.
Right.
So I appreciate that.
We've been having a lot of vandalism as well. So
Yeah.
the team cleans those regularly, but people go in there and sometimes make a mess of them overnight or over the weekend. So
And just a little side note, while I was out there on one of the little less traveled trail out there, I found a complete toilet that was broken in pieces, a ceramic toilet. So there's sharp shards, large ones.
Where at?
And I picked them up as much as I could, but half of it is buried, and it's going to require a shovel or a wheelbarrow or something to get that out there. I would expect it was there before the park was opened
Interesting.
up, And if anybody wants to contact me, I'll show them where it is.
yes, I think that would be a great idea, especially the safety with the shards and different
Right,
things like
it's a
that.
safety
So,
concern.
yep, I agree.
But anyway, there's some shards. Of course, it's getting covered with leaves now, but
Yeah.
I wanted to
Thank you,
mention
Ron.
that. So if
Any
anybody wants to
questions?
contact me,
Will do. And we have your information, well, we have some of your information, but if we can get your
yeah.
email or email.
in my notes here, I have a phone number on
Perfect.
it.
If you want to leave that with Debbie, as you stand up, yep.
Yeah, phone number's on there.
Thank you, Ron.
I can show you.
Okay, I'm going to pull up. Yes, thank you so much. Next citizen interested in talking with us tonight, Mike, come on forward or come on down.
Good evening. My name is Mike DeBlasi, resident of Keizer. I'm on the Traffic Safety, Bikeways, and Pedestrian Committee. The reason why I've come tonight is talking with the city manager about getting Keizer to be a tree city. And I believe you all have the printout of my presentation, so you'll be able to follow.
No, and Mike, I am sorry, I had it behind the file, so it's still in my desk. But, you know, why don't you keep talking and then we'll get back.
Okay. Well, so, you know, a lot of people probably have seen as they drive through different towns, the sign says Tree City, and may or may not have given much thought about it. But tonight I'm going to give you reasons why we should be a tree city, and then explain how the process is. So trees are important in our communities for multiple reasons. They're great at filtering air, so we clean our air. They provide shade. They are good at filtering rainwater, good for mental health in our community building, and they also improve our climate resiliency. So for air quality, urban trees will contribute $73 billion in community-wide environmental benefits each year across America by absorbing odors and pollutants and filtering the particulates out of the air. And they remove about 26 tons of CO2 and 300 pounds of pollutants from the air, which gives the net cooling effect of 1,000 air conditioners. So speaking of cooling, the way they do that is by lowering the surface and air temperatures by providing shade. And shaded surfaces may be 20 to 45 degrees cooler than peak unshaded temperatures. And they also shade our homes and streets, which means we have to use less air conditioning to cool our homes. So that reduces our energy costs. They have watershed benefits. So 100 large mature trees can intercept over 200,000 gallons of rainfall, which reduces stormwater runoff and flooding potential. And they also provide habitat for different critters who you know, need the canopy, not just the low-growing vegetation. So quality of life benefits, they increase the security by creating more pleasant walking environment, so people are out more, looking around more eyes on the street, if you will. This also creates a physical health benefit by getting more exercise, and also a mental health benefit by reducing stress levels. And they create just a more aesthetically pleasing environment to be in. And if you're trying to keep up, I'm on slide number 7, the one that says physical activity. So like I said, by creating more comfortable and pleasing walking and cycling environments, it gives more exercise opportunities to adults and children, and provides more just opportunities to be outside and just get more total activity. You know, as we get older, we're not out playing with our friends on the street as much, but if we have a more pleasing environment, we're out walking more. Community health, the next slide, they help reduce crime. The neighborhoods that are barren are shown to have a greater incidence of violence in and out of the home. They also reduce the level of fear, because being more pleasing environments, they just lower stress levels and just are more inviting communities. And you know, something that we see even here is that inequitable distribution of the tree cover. So low-income communities could use more tree cover. I'm just going to hurry down towards, so what does it take to be in the Tree City program? So you're going to need a tree board or department, a tree care ordinance, spending within the annual budget of $2 per capita, and an Arbor Day observance and proclamation. So the tree board may be a professional arborist or a tree board, including a group like yourself. And they're legally responsible for the management of the community's trees. The ordinance is basically the legal requirement of the city to establish the board and to give it responsibilities. May I continue?
Yes, I don't know why that was said. Okay, yes, go ahead.
It also provides guidance for planting and maintaining and removing trees, and it provides an opportunity to set good policy that is legally enforceable. And like I said, the tree board can be a group such as yourself. It could be, a subgroup of the parks community or a parks board. However, it would ultimately be decided. So now the $2 per capita, we've heard some complaints about people not wanting these creeping costs showing up. The thing is, city workers are already spending money and time on caring for the community trees that we have already.
Right.
So all that gets lumped into this $2 per capita. So in many cases, that money is either nearly fully being spent or is already probably being exceeded. So it's not like something we'd have to tack on people's bills. And it can even include the value of volunteer labor, donated trees and supplies, those sorts of things. And the Arbor Day thing is just, it's basically a way to give people an opportunity to learn more about trees, learn why we are a tree city, what they can do in their own community, those sorts of things. And so the steps to become a tree city are to meet those 4 standards, complete the application by the end of the year, and just send it into the arborday.org Tree City USA website.
Okay.
So,
How can the parks help in this process? Because the parks are a smaller footprint of the whole city of Keizer. So
Yeah.
what is your recommendation or what is your ask today for how we can support you?
well, so originally, because it was my idea and I'm on the traffic safety, we were talking about having traffic safety present a motion. And at the end of it, I wrote the motion. Yours shows the old language. I tweaked it, and this one to show that the motion would be the Parks Advisory Committee requests that the Keizer City Council direct the Public Works Director and the City Manager to complete the necessary requirements to make the City of Keizer a participant in the Tree City USA program.
Okay.
So oh, yes, sir.
$2 per capita, how often?
Oh, that's annual.
What?
I believe that's annual.
Okay.
So before we do that, any questions?
And there's already, I mean, I've got a few, and I think.
Great.
I think the idea of having more trees, I mean, Rotary has done a bunch of the Arboretum. Watershed Council, we plant trees, I don't know, at least every year. But, this is adding on to something potentially for the city, and so I think it would be behoove us to hear from either Robert or Adam or Jenny on what the potential impacts is. Is this a fund that would come from parks? Like, I mean, I don't feel comfortable just throwing a motion out there. I love the concept, but like, there's a lot of things that have to happen. I don't want to impact the wrong budget. I mean, there's just a few moving parts here that I think from, the professionals that deal with the budget and everything else like that, I think it'd be really important to hear from that a little bit. And if they have the answers for it now, great, but, we do a lot. I mean, we just planted, not trees, but we just planted 30-something tree or plants this weekend or 2 weekends ago. And so there's constantly those efforts and stuff going on. We're hearing more about, particularly in Keizer Rapids, along with the new soccer fields, where we're going to want to do some more trees and things of that nature. So it's already a very active thing that's happening sort of on the volunteer side of it. And, we've had Wilbur Bloom come in and advise park staff and environmental staff on the right ones. But I think it's super important that we understand sort of what the potential impacts would be from either Adam or Robert.
Yeah. Robert?
So I don't have a lot of answers to these questions right now. This is kind of a new concept to me. I know Adam is sitting here, but I don't know if you want to speak up at this
I know
moment.
he's decided
or
to
if,
sit up forward, so-
you
or
wanna
sit
have
up
some other
front.
conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Chair and Parks Board. I sat down with Mike and the Tree City USA folks from the state, and I suspect that we're already spending that much that is related to trees. And all that volunteer work can be included in that. Our time from our environmental staff, our public works care. It would just be a matter of documenting it. And I don't know if the request is to add $2 more to our expenses as much as it is to document it. And it does open up some other possibilities, and it brings us more consciousness, more education, maybe more conscientious effort on where we're planting trees. And I think it would be a good pursuit, and maybe have that conversation with. We can have that if the Parks Committee wants to direct staff to talk about it, because I really haven't discussed it with the Public Works Director or Robert. We can discuss that internally and come back to you with a recommendation.
And I would just say that while I think it's great to be planting in parks, this program allows you to reach out to individual landowners, property owners who want to plant trees. There's lots of programs that have cost share with trees, because sometimes people don't want to spend $100. Or if you have as part of this, you have a volunteer group of people who will plant trees in front of people's properties, those sorts of things. So you kind of create almost that park throughout the whole city.
Okay.
Follow-up question, if we looked at this in December, is there enough time to get it on a council agenda by the 31st deadline? If the Parks Board were to dive into this a little bit more in December, make a recommendation, is there enough time to get it?
I don't know if that, I mean, certainly we could come back to you
I mean,
at your next
December
meeting,
31st is a
but
hard deadline?
it's pretty, it would be a real stretch for us to get it done by this, the end of this year, the next month and a half, really.
Yeah, just so you know, I was originally going to bring it to the traffic safety in August, then I think that meeting got canceled. Then I was unable to go to the next meeting for personal reasons, and then so once it got brought to bring it here, yeah, it certainly compressed the timeline. But that just means that if we can't make it in 2022, there is 2023.
Right. Which would allow us more time to kind of vet the idea and kind of do some problem solving. So,
Look at budget stuff.
right.
I think it's a great presentation. I
Yeah.
just want to,
Yeah.
I'm nuts and bolts guy, I want to see how it works. So if we can get,
And there's other cities, you could certainly reach out to and ask how they're experiencing
yeah,
it.
and that's fair, but, Keizer does things.
Almost.
We look to other cities a lot to kind of get a baseline, but then we go, okay, cool idea. We're going to take all the really good things here and all the really good things here and make it our own.
Yeah,
You know that. You've been around.
yeah.
So, does anybody want to put a motion on the table, or from the discussion, do we want to table this conversation till we can gather some more information and potentially plan on submitting an application
Next year.
next year?
I think that's a better choice.
Yeah.
Talking to your microphone.
Yeah, I would say discuss it and look at it for next year, because I would like to see the budget stuff, where the money is going to come from.
Yeah.
It might be there, but it'd be nice to know where it's going to come from. And
I struggle a little bit just to make a knee-jerk sort of emotional response on an $80,000 a year budget, when 80,000 is the difference between Robert being successful in some of the things he needs to do for maintenance and operations. It's a good program. I think it's great.
Right.
Love trees, plant a lot of them.
Right.
But just want to make sure that the mechanics are right.
Well, and it will give us time to vet, get people on board, and then really be thoughtful when we do submit. And we can do that work early next year. We don't have to wait till, summer. So I think that let's go ahead and wait, but we will look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, and I don't know logistically, and maybe the city manager could speak to this, but I don't know, do you have to be directed to look at the budget to calculate how much we're spending already? Is that something that they have to direct you to do?
No, we don't have to be directed. I think if this discussion is good enough for us to get together and look at numbers and crunch them and look at
Awesome.
requirements.
All right.
I look forward to seeing it in future conversations, though.
Yeah, and you know how to reach me.
Thank you, Mike. Okay. No other interested citizens on the list, so we're gonna move to new and old business park reports. I'm up first. Country Glen looks fantastic. Nice work. Team always makes Country Glen look fantastic. Northview, I did not have a chance to go and visit it. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna move along. I'll be better. I'll do better. Gwen, Claggett Creek and Bob Newton.
I went to Camp Flag Creek on Sunday, and I was checking to see if there's any flooding or anything like that, and everything looks so great. The bathrooms are so clean, and it had been a while since there was ride up on there, and they were really nice and clean.
Good.
And then I went to Bob Newton. Like all summer, I couldn't even stop in there because there's always people there. There was no parking and everything like that. So the courts look wonderful. It didn't seem as spongy as, even though we had all this rain, it didn't seem as spongy as it usually was. So I don't know, was anything done or no?
Are you referring to the turf?
Yeah, the turf.
So I think it's just our first real heavy rain, and so a lot of that rain has gone into the ground. Hasn't had time to sit and puddle up yet, but
Oh,
it
okay.
will get spongy soon.
It will. It will be spongy soon. Okay, great.
What you say.
Look forward to it.
So next time I better make sure I wear my boots.
Yes.
Got it.
But
Nice.
everything looks really great.
Awesome. David.
Oh, one thing
Oh.
is, it's only a one-way going. And one time I was going, and I was going down the roadway there, and people were coming in the other way, so they had to back up. So is there a way we can get like a sign that says, "Do not enter" on that way or something? Because
I'd have to reach
It's really
out.
only wide enough for like one vehicle.
So it's an alleyway. Doesn't really have directional traffic.
Yeah,
It's also not really designed to support a park.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sitting in a very strange location.
yeah.
I guess I'd have to reach out to our streets department manager and see what they think about doing something like that.
Just a little tiny one that says wrong way or something, because one person's gonna have to back up.
Yeah.
Because it's really not able, and
Yeah,
it's not
there's-
gonna be me.
I've been in that situation many times down there. I mean, there's plenty of areas you can pass two cars side by side, but it might not be exactly when you're needing that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I usually proceed with caution, and I look
Yeah, I did, yeah.
well ahead and plan for,
See, there's that curve, when you're going out to leave, you're
Yeah.
going out that curve,
Yeah.
yeah.
so, and when there's a lot of cars there, they're all, it's pretty tight in there.
Yeah.
Well, you've been there, so.
A couple times.
Yeah. If you want to avoid the drive, Gwen, for future, what's the street access on,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a street
yeah,
access.
Mandarin, I think.
Mandarin or Mandarin, I always get them mixed up.
Mandarin,
Mandarin.
and-
Way or something like that.
Yes.
So,
So
There's
there's just a
another
little
one on
dead end area that you can
14.
park, but you'll have to walk, but
Yeah.
if you want to avoid that. It is a neighborhood park.
a neighborhood
The
park.
goal is for you to walk into it, not
Right.
drive, but you're right, it is. And people are usually pretty kind. They'll back up, or if you're like, I can't do it, they'll do it,
Because I'll
so.
be saying that, I can't do
Yeah, that's what you just do. They'll do it for you. Awesome, thanks, Gwen. David, it's all you.
Oh, yes. Well, Northridge is undeveloped as usual. And Hidden Creek looks fine.
Glad you found it.
Which one, Northridge or Hidden?
No, Hidden Creek,
No,
the obvious one.
Because it was hidden.
that's Hidden Ditch.
Nice.
It's
Okay.
like a parking strip, really.
Meadows looks great. It looks like it was recently mowed, actually, so it looks really good. And Ben Miller is great. There is, the people that live at the very corner there, they seem to park their cars on the grass there frequently.
It's not the first time
No.
we've had this conversation.
Sure does. It happens a lot.
I
There's
know.
like 2 cars there a lot of the time, so I don't know if there's anything to do about that, but I notice that frequently when I go down there, that they park their car. And they have several cars, so it's not like,
Yeah.
but yeah, they park there frequently. But other than that, everything looks great.
Awesome.
But they cause lots of wheel marks in the grass.
Ruts and stuff,
Ruts and
yeah.
stuff, yeah.
Is that playground in the plan to get upgraded this, early next year?
Yeah.
Okay, yay. Thank you. I've been waiting for that park to get a new play structure
It
for a
needs-
while.
It needs it.
Awesome, thank you. It looks great, though, every time I
it
drive
does.
by. Okay, Lisa.
All right, I've been to Ryan J. Hill. I never see very many people, but it looks good. And then Willamette Manor, I'm there almost every day. It, the daylight hours are shrinking, so I haven't noticed anything
Okay.
bad. I mean, it's tidy, there's not a lot of trash. I don't know about the dog droppings. But it's a good park and people use it all the time,
Great.
so.
Anybody else reports on Keizer Rapids other than what we heard today?
Well, I just want to say that so many people have stopped me in the park and told me how much they love the pavement project.
Yes. I was
That
gonna ask.
pavement project was a big hit with
Good.
the morning crowd. They talk about the new trail, and it's like, it's actually just the road
Right.
that has pavement on it. But they are convinced it's a new trail, and it's wonderful, and you guys are the best. And I say, yes, they are the best.
Right.
We have the best public works, we have the best city council. It's actually a wonderful thing.
Wonderful.
The other thing is, I don't know what you did this morning after I was there, but all of the summer boat dock was out there this morning, and the river's getting high.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
I'm just worried that there's going to be debris come down and hurt the dock that tried to kill me this morning.
She slipped.
The composite doesn't have much grip, and I didn't realize that almost to the river that some of the decking would be frozen. So I stepped, and then I did the comic
Yeah.
banana peel fall, up, get horizontal, down. Yeah, no, it was awesome. It would have been spectacular to video. But I lived.
Where's that action cam that when you need it?
Yeah, no, thank goodness there are no cameras in the park yet. Because you guys, well, you could have made money, we could have put it towards Tree City, it would have been
Right.
wonderful.
Boom, boom. Well, I think that Robert's report will cover some of what your discussion is,
Yeah.
because I'm assuming that those are all pieces he's going to be sharing. Number 5, any more movement on the Keizer Rapids Parks turf field report? David or Lisa?
We did pick, option A as the base of the turf field layout.
Okay.
And Mr. Lawyer, not this one, but the Public Works Director, he is looking at things that we can put in later.
Yeah.
The estimated cost was $10 million.
Yeah.
We have, what, 3.5? 4, we got up to 4, all right.
Right.
So we have to find things that we can put in later.
Cool. And I think that was the conversation that
We
we
talked
had
about that last
okay,
month.
good. I was like, is it
Yeah.
the same? So, perfect. Thank you
Yeah.
so much
No,
for updating
We haven't-
us.
actually, he had 2 options.
Right, but you
And we
weren't here
picked
last
one.
month,
Do you
and
have a map of that one?
we talked about
I
it.
asked Public Works Director to give you a map so we could look at it here, but I guess not.
I do not have a map ready for you to look at just yet, but it is
Okay.
being
Worked on,
worked on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Publicly.
Some more details to come.
More details to come.
Thank you so much, David. Robert, staff report.
Yeah, thank you. So, as it was mentioned earlier, a few things on my list were already talked about, but I'm gonna kind of recap them. The trail project down at Palmacia Park has been completed. Nicholas Elder did a great job and his crew. There's some photos up here for those who might not know what I'm talking about. You can take a look.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Basically took a hillside that was completely covered in English ivy, found kind of a natural area that a trail could be built and constructed, and they went in and removed all of the invasive plants, cleaned up a bunch of down logs and limbs, and they stacked concrete blocks backfilled with almost 50 cubic yards of crushed aggregate in layers and compacted that in there, so it should be nice and firm and solid, shouldn't go anywhere. Did minimal disturbance to the hillside and turned out really nice. And every time I've been down at that park lately, it seems like somebody's walking down there using it. So that's awesome because we never used to see that at Palmacia.
Yeah.
So it's just another classic case of if you build it, they will come.
Nice.
Good to see.
Or if they ask, we'll
Or if
figure it
they
out.
ask.
Yes?
Yes.
Nice work.
So just another good successful Eagle Scout project there. Nicholas's brother was actually the one who painted the gazebo a couple years ago, and it was recently burnt. So I just want to let everybody know there's a contractor we've signed a contract with to have that repainted, and they'll get doing that here soon as weather allows. It's actually the same contractor who's sealing this building right now as we speak. So
Great.
as soon as he's done with that job, he's going to bounce over there. Leaf season is underway. Leaves are dropping. We're out dealing with them as best we can. Just know that if you come across a path that maybe looks a little bit slippery or covered in leaves, please proceed with caution. We'll get there as quick as possible. We're constantly going around every day, blowing things and trying to pick up leaves and mow them if we can. Our tactic over the last 10 years has been mow as many leaves as possible. This year, I'm not sure how that's going to go because it started off with being quite wet, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But we do have a dry spell coming up this week, so that might help us out.
Great.
One thing I wanted to mention, we haven't had any grant applications come forward yet. We're in month 5 of our fiscal budget cycle, and we've had no grants. So if you guys hear of anything or know of anybody that's maybe thinking of doing a project, I encourage that to come forth sooner rather than later, so we're not up against the time clock at the end of the year, you know, similar to what we were last year, trying to get a project done by June 30th.
Great.
So just a reminder. And the pavement project down at Keizer Rapids Park that Lisa mentioned, that went really well. Knife River was able to come in there and pave the main disc golf parking lot and the access path that leads down towards the river to the above the boating camp. And so that is paved, connects all the way through. You can park on pavement at the disc golf parking lot, take that path all the way down to the boat above the boating camp, follow that pathway through the river and pop out over at the marine facility on pavement there. So you never leave asphalt. And we're getting a couple ADA handicap stalls painted down there as well near the kiosk. So that'll be 2 new additional ADA spots. Yeah, we've got a lot of compliments on that. It does kind of look like a new path. It's more open, I'll say. Our staff went through and we had to prune
Yeah,
the
right.
trees so the equipment could do that project. So I think because we opened it up and then you have this nice new pathway, it kind of appears maybe as if a new road was constructed. But
Nice.
anyways, and then the boat docks, the river barely hit 12 feet this weekend. We like it around 13 feet to pull our seasonal floats out, just because we have to actually remove 5, take 4 middle ones out, put the end dock back on because it actually has a bump stop on it and the
Right.
sign. So the river's dropping, it's about 10 feet right now. As soon as we get another good rise, we'll get those seasonal docks pulled out.
Great.
So yeah, it's the first time I've heard of somebody falling on it when it's icy, but I'm sure that's not the first time it's happened.
Oh, yeah, no, I've done it many
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
In a row.
Oh, okay.
But
She still hasn't
usually-
learned her
but No,
lesson.
I do, because
Yes?
I test the top one now.
Yeah.
The top one was fine.
Yeah.
It's just the lower ones.
Deceiving.
But then again, the hunters, it's always fun to watch them get down to their boats.
Oh, yeah.
So,
you,
Thank you.
Robert. Counselor Starr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the biggest item to bring to your attention is that the work session we had planned for November 14th to talk about leash laws and dogs in the parks has been postponed to November 28th due to some scheduling conflicts, so.
Okay, awesome. Other business, I was wondering if we could figure out how to get communication from the environmental team regarding activities and events that they're doing, specifically ones that are in the parks. This would be a great forum to showcase that. And like I said, when I showed up, I was shocked that City of Keizer was their environmental team, and I was like, why didn't we know? So just want an idea.
Yeah, I think that's really easy to do. A lot of times they also are involved with some local schools and they're
Okay.
just doing like a field trip activity, not necessarily open to the public.
The state park was there.
But sometimes
there was
they-
other kiosks and they were giving out containers and pick up things. And I thought, wow, what a miss, because that maybe this individuals
Right.
from this group could have gone, or we could have encouraged it as
Sure.
much as possible. So that was my thought.
Yeah.
But you're right. There are times when they're doing smaller events, but it could be a way to
Absolutely.
maximize on the.
I agree.
I can,
And I know that they put it on social media, and I
They
miss
do.
it sometimes.
They do, but they make a good point, Tanya, and I'm going to send them my distribution list for this board.
Sweet.
So that they can, when they send out emails, they can include you.
That would be awesome.
Perfect,
Great.
thank you.
And then that will help with some of the concerns about trash and debris and miscellaneous stuff. Sweet.
So just real quick, on October 28th, we did the Wallace House cleanup. That was Clagger Creek Watershed Council and the Keizer Rotary Satellite Club. Had 17 individuals come down. Rhonda Rich was there. Always love having Rhonda out there because she keeps me squared away. Picked up about 6 or 7 bags of trash, 5 or 6 tires, some pallets. We got about half a trailer full of woody material and or invasive species. Put a little over half a bag of seed down. That was a kind of last minute project that we were able to get. But very successful event. Great to see Mayor Clark out there and Council Reed and the scout troop that came out, and just really appreciate the constant participation with West Keizer Neighborhood Association. And lastly, of course, the Parks Department, who made my life very easy, because when I asked for a project, I just show up, pull trailers, they've already got all the equipment in there, which is nice, because showing up 2.5 hours early to figure out what we need sometimes is not always fun. So thank you, Robert, for making sure we had everything. Dawn called me a couple days before and got the list. And so volunteerism is still very much alive and actually very efficient these days.
Yay.
So great project. We'll be going back in spring and doing a big ivy attack and trash. So
Awesome. Thanks so much for taking the lead and figuring all those details out. So making it happen.
it's a lot of fun.
Any other business? Okay, we're ending 6:48.